Whether you're ready or not, the Regulation G is upon us, so today I'm going to talk about 6 anti-meta picks you could put on your team and help get value and win games today. We're going to start off with Pelipper. Pelipper's been around really since Regulation A. It actually did very, very good in the first ever regionals, and it's been a very good Pokemon, but it's also been kind of underwhelming as far as like statistics go. Flutter Mane gives this thing a bit of a problem. That's why a lot of people have opted for the Focus Sash, just being able to burst this thing down with the 70 SPDF. And it has one stat that's over, like, it's not even over 100. It has one stat that hits 100. So statistically, this Pokemon is not exactly the best, but there are a lot of good things going for Pelipper. We'll start off with Hurricane. Hurricane is a stab flying move that Pelipper gets on the special side. It is 110 power, 70 accuracy. However, it has a 30% chance to confuse, and it cannot miss in the rain. Lucky enough, Pelipper sets rain with its ability Drizzle, and Pelipper can abuse the Stellar Terra to kind of get damage boost on its moves, which is kind of neat, right? Anytime Stellar Terra gets off, it just feels kind of good because it's not exactly the best. But with the Focus Sash, Pelipper can take advantage of that. Stab Flying is just very good, honestly. It's always been good, and it hits most things in the game for neutral damage. So that's always good. Getting that confusion chance can help win you games. The real value comes from Pelipper this meta, though, comes off of its Drizzle ability and Wide Guard. I think Wide Guard objectively being a little bit better. Drizzle is just very, very good, and a lot of common trends you'll see is Wide Guard Pokemon picking up in usage in this format, such as Mienshao. And the reason that Drizzle and like Pelipper is kind of good is because Pelipper is just a toolbox, right? When you use Pelipper, I mean, you can protect, but you can also like Helping Hand with Pelipper. Tailwind with Pelipper, it gets speed control, so you can just Tailwind with Pelipper, so that's kind of nice. Thing that feels good about Pelipper is it's actually like offensive, right? Hurricane's 110, so it makes up for its lack of special attack with 95 special attack, which is, I mean, it's good in like a early format, but as we creep into these newer, higher power creep metas, this just kind of falls, kind of short. But you are getting really, really big damage into things like Rillaboom. You can Oko Incineroar with Weather Ball, and that's its second damage move. It's a 50 base power move, but it doubles in the weather. And it's very nice that Pelipper can get a Stab Fire move, right? Because if they set the Sun, which will come to counter Pelipper in those matchups, you can still get off 100 base power fire moves. The Weather Ball is a scary move for this Pokemon. Next up, we have Wide Guard. This is the key move for the format here. It protects allies from multi-target moves this turn. Multi-target moves are spread damage, essentially. So these are things like Kyogre, Calyrex Shadow, Calyrex Ice with those Glacial Lance and Astral Barrages, Kyogre with Origin Pulse or Water Spout. Other things such as Torkoal's Eruption, Terapagos when it Stellar Terras and it does the Stellar Starfall. You can just Wide Guard that. Groudon Precipice Blades, etc. Like, there's so many good things that Wide Guard blocks. Even Raging Bolts, right? You could block those Electro Webs or those Snarls for your teammates. So the fact that Pelipper could kind of like be a support mon for its team that can also threaten some really offensive damage, and you have to feel like you double it, is just, it feels really bad. You can also run Rocky Helmet here. The Rocky Helmet set's kind of nice, right? Because if they do physical damage, it's living the Water Fu, which you are powering up in the rain. So being able to chip damage back and chip those sashes is good, but I really like Sash. I think Sash Pelipper is the one that we're definitely going to see because then you can just kind of maximize, your special attack and speed and just do a lot of damage. And Protect is the final one. Little kind of caution here. If you use Wide Guard, Protect does have a chance to fail. So keep that in mind. If you're spamming Wide Guard, then you want to go Protect. It does have a chance to fail. It's kind of like the interaction that Protect has. So just be careful with that. I forgot that, and I've been in a situation a couple of times where Wide Guard, then you want to protect your Pelipper to preserve it. So just keep that in mind when using this Pokemon. Up next, we have Mienshao. Mienshao is a weird Pokemon because we haven't seen it in any of the regulations. It hasn't popped up and it hasn't really done anything. So the fact that Mienshao is kind of popping up everywhere is kind of strange to some of the newer players. But this Pokemon is absolutely insane in these restricted formats, especially with the Calyrex Shadow Rider. Terra Ghost on this Pokemon is kind of neat. I mean, you do have Inner Focus to dodge that, but you can kind of dodge the Mirror Match with the close combat and stuff like that. And it's a pretty defensive Terra other than against the Astral Barrage Pokemon. So there, you may want to change the Terra type up. I mean, Terra Fighting could be kind of good just to get stab damage. But I think Terra Ghost is all right here. Focus Sash, again, just having to double this Pokemon up. It's not exactly statistically the best. 65 HP, 60 and 60 on the defenses. But it does have a 125 attack stat, so it's hitting very hard. 120 base close combat stab is very good. And the reason this Pokemon plays with Calyrex Shadow Rider very good is because a lot of Pokemon are going to Terra Normal or just be the normal type in general. Things like Ursaluna and stuff are just going to wall this Calyrex Shadow Rider out where you can't touch it with Astral Barrage. And so you have the close combat beside the Astral Barrage, or beside the Calyrex Shadow Rider, I should say. And you also have Fake Out, right? So you could like Fake Out Nasty Plot your Shadow Rider, or you could just Fake Out other Pokemon. Incineroar, Rillaboom are super popular in metas like these, so being able to be inner focus where you can't be made to flinch and you are immune to Intimidate is very nice because you can just close combat that Incineroar. You can also close combat the Rillaboom, and you're doing a big chunk of damage, getting that 125, I think it was, yeah, base attack. So you're doing huge damage. Here's the move of the meta, Wide Guard. This Pokemon has access to Wide Guard, so being able to Wide Guard and just save yourself from, again, those Kyogre, Groudon, Calyrex, mirror matches, stuff like that, it's very, very good. Have to be careful versus Calyrex. They do run Psyshock or Psychic, so it can hit this super effective. So maybe a resist here could be nice for the Terra to Psychic, maybe. And then lastly, we do have the Knockoff. I think Knockoff is a very underrated move for this Pokemon. I see some people opting for other moves. I think Knockoff is very, very good. Hitting Calyrex Shadow Rider 4 times is very, very nice, or forcing the Terra and baiting the Terra out. Very, very nice. And then obviously, Knockoff is kind of just a safe move, right? You get a 1.5 damage multiplier, 125 base attack. It's not stab, but you're getting the multiplier and you're knocking off held items. This is just a very valuable move because nothing really wants to switch in onto a Knockoff except for things like Ogerpon or things that can't lose their item, right? So this is a very, very good move, I think, for the Pokemon. Up next, we have Serena. Now, Serena is an interesting Pokemon. We kind of see Serena do well into these kind of formats as well. It's like Farigiraf, honestly, with Cleanly Majesty here. And its Pokemon is allies are protected from priority moves. This helps for Prankster priority moves, like Prankster taunts or stuff. Usually you'll see Serena beside like Kyogre on like Tailwind teams. So versus the mirror match, you're not doing as well because you know your Tornadus can do priority moves and theirs can't. And then also it has that grass typing. Probably you want to go like Terra Water or Terra Fire with this Pokemon. Wide Lens kind of helps the accuracy of this move since it does have Power Whip and Triple Axle, which is 85 and 90. You do want to hit these powerful moves. Power Whip kind of comes in and does just massive damage. Same with Triple Axle. It can hit 3 times. Each hit can miss, but the power rises on each move. So this can chuck things like a Rillaboom that can kind of threaten that Kyogre down. Helping Hand beside Kyogre is a very good lead because you can just bring the Serena, bring the Kyogre, Helping Hand, and do massive damage, and they can't fake you out, right, since you have this Queenly Majesty. So this kind of helps support that. And then Taunt, lastly. Taunt's very valuable. This Pokemon isn't exactly the bulkiest. It does have a 120 attack stat. But having a Pokemon that isn't Prankster Taunt is actually super valuable because things like Serena or Farigiraf or even Indeedee Female with that Psychic Drain or Indeedee Male don't stop the fact that Taunt is not Prankster on this Pokemon. So being able to stop some of these support Pokemon, such as the Clefairy Comfey coming up, is very, very nice, as well as like some of those Trick Room options, right? So if you're running like Torn Ogre, Trick Room is a very good counter into Torn Ogre if you can get the Trick Room off. So being able to taunt that's kind of annoying without being able to fake it out. So that is very, very good. I think Terra Fire is probably objectively better here. I don't know. I mean, you resist the Rillaboom and Ensign like U-Turn and Flare Blitz, but you are also weak to the Mirror Match in the Kyogre. But I think Terra Fire would actually be kind of solid here because you just don't Terra in the Mirror Match. Coming up next, we have Comfey. Comfey, Terra Fire, Citrus Berry. This just helps this Pokemon stay alive. It's very, very annoying. Triage, the healing moves have their priority increased by 3. This also does way more healing in grassy terrain, right? This Flora healing move heals the target by 50%. So you can basically just heal your partner Pokemon up. We see this a ton on those Terapagos teams because you can basically heal the Terapagos off with Triage so you get the priority. Terapagos then gets the ability to have the shell where it takes resisted damage from everything unless it's a new. You take resisted damage from everything unless it is an immune hit. Then you have the Draining Kiss, very huge for the Terapagos again because it is a fairy type move with the fact that the Pokemon is recovering 75% of the damage dealt while threatening those fighting types such as Mienshao, right? So basically you can, threaten those fighting types that want to come in and close combat your Terapagos. It's very, very good. Taunt, again, this isn't a Prankster ability. So the fact that you can non-Prankster Taunt, and this Pokemon's kind of hard to clear with the Citrus Berry. I mean, it does have a 51 HP stat, which is kind of garbage, actually. But 110 Spadef is nice, 90 defense is okay. And it's shockingly fast, right? A fast taunter, like 100 taunts, pretty crazy. Not for the power creep of the game, but just you kind of don't expect the Pokemon to be that fast when you're, looking at it. And sometimes this can get away with stuff, the taunt, because people think like they relate this with Prankster, and you could just get easy taunts off into like Trick Room or something like that, or set up support mons, stuff like that. And then protect. You want to protect this Pokemon because this is a nuisance. People do want to double and clear this a lot because it enables your team so much. It's a great support. Up next, we have Clefairy. Clefairy is one of my favorite Pokemon. It's just an awesome Pokemon. We do have Friend Guard, not Cute Charm. Do not run Cute Charm. With the Eviolite, it just boosts his defensive Spadef by 1.5. This is what makes this Pokemon actually work. Terra Water for stuff like Urshifu and I'm sure like Kyogre and stuff like that. That way you can live that and support your team with Friend Guard. Friend Guard Friend Guard makes your Pokemon allies receive 3/4 damage from other Pokemon attacks. This protects your team very well as the Follow Me combination. I put Helping Hand and Heal Pulse on here. This Pokemon is weak to Taunt, and with the Protect as the final move. So you can't get taunted by things like Clefairy, Serena, that can carry taunt, even like Rillabooms and stuff. So be aware of that. You could drop like Helping Hand for maybe Moonblast, right? If you're afraid of that. But I mean, you're really not doing much damage. You could even go like Icy Wind, but again, like Icy Wind, there's Wide Guard all in the metagame. I think Moonblast, if you do want to attack an attacking move, would be your best bet. And you drop the Helping Hand, so you're not as offensive with the help of the team. But then you could be more defensive, right? Like Moonblast can maybe chip something down that you need, chip a sash or something, while you like protect the partner, and then you kind of go off with like Follow Me, and then go off with the damage. But again, I do like the Helping Hand and just kind of play around the taunt. You do have sheets for that, so you can kind of see it coming. Heal Pulse is very good. Heals the target by 50%, kind of like what we see on the Clefairy here. This isn't priority. This is bulkier. It's a lot slower actually with a 35 speed. So you can play it Trick Room. Another cool thing you can do here is after you. So if you get some of these fast Pokemon in Trick Room, such as like a Calyrex Shadow Rider, right? If you click after you, the target makes its move right after the user. Now this can be Follow Me or something like that, Rage Powder. So you do need to be careful. But after you, basically, if you get like the Calyrex in a weird spot under Trick Room, or that's what you have is you're facing up against Trick Room, and they don't have redirection, then the Clefairy being 35 speed and being so slow clicks after you. Then the partner Pokemon moves next. You're clicking Astral Barrage, Side Shock, or Psychic, and just cleaning up the game. I chose to go Heal Pulse here just as a standard setup because you'll see this kind of on some of those balanced teams, whether it be like the Terapagos stuff again, maybe a Raging Bolt balance or something like that. And you're just wanting to heal and be annoying and Friend Guard and protect, keep this thing on the field, and they'll basically have to kind of target this down, because if not, again, you're getting off some insane support. Lastly, for us Johto fans, it's Umbreon. Umbreon does very well into formats kind of like this. It's kind of not as good with Flutter Mane, maybe, but you do have the option to Terra Poison here and go defensive into Flutter Mane. A Guave Berry is good. You can run the Citrus Berry on this Pokemon, but I think like a Guave Berry might be just a little bit better because you have that Moonlight option here, which heals user by weather dependent amount. We have a lot of rain coming in this format. We have a lot of sun with Koraidon and Groudon coming. So Moonlight's a pretty good move. So I think the Guave Berry is possibly better. You just have to test around with this in EV and see what it works. I think because of the burst damage from Flutter Mane, if you can live a hit from Flutter, it should get in this Guave range and you heal up more than the Citrus. I think this is probably more consistent, but you can test around with Citrus Berry if you do not like the Guave Berry. Inner Focus, Pokemon can't be made to flinch. It is immune to Intimidate. It's not really worried about Intimidate, but you can't fake it out, so it's getting its support moves off right away, which is very, very useful. Yawn is annoying because it helps with those setup Pokemon. You put the target to sleep after one turn, so it's not as good as Spore, but however, Yawn is a very, very powerful move. You can set up with like Fake Out Yawn, or like even just some massive damage beside Umbreon, like something that just really threatens the board. And then they kind of target that Pokemon, and this gets a free Yawn. Obviously, it can't be intimidated. So like you can Yawn those cycles, forcing them to cycle out the Pokemon, forcing them not to set up, which is kind of very nice, honestly. And you can get some good value off of this. Next is the Moonlight. We already went over it. Heals weather dependent amount. Foul Play is very, very good for this format. Calyrex Ice Rider is here, and if it gets any boost, you can help it out. Plus, it's a 95 Stab Dark move, so you're getting a boost on this attack, and it goes it goes off their attack stat and damage calculation. That doesn't matter, with any of those drops or whatever. You're just going off their attack stat. Foul Play is also nice to hit into that Calyrex Shadow Rider. The Dark type's very nice into that Calyrex Shadow Rider because you are immune to the Psychic and you resist the Astral Barrage, so you kind of just wall up Calyrex Shadow Rider. Very, very good. This is going to be very good for the format. And then Foul Play hits some of those Pokemon like Groudon, like Koraidon, that have that just naturally high, 130, 140, 150 attack stats. Those Pokemon of that nature, you're just hitting them super hard. Well over 50% of their health, and these Pokemon are so bulky. This kind of helps chip, some of that stuff down. And with this Pokemon having actually really good bulk, 130 SPDF, 110 defense, 95 HP, this kind of sticks on the field. So being able to get some of those powerful foul plays off is very nice into some of these restricted physical types that are just very, very strong in the physical attack slot. Lastly, I have Taunt. Taunt's just very good. Dark type Pokemon can't be Prankster taunted, so you can taunt opposing things that have Prankster. It's very, very nice. Taunt into Trick Room. Taunt into other, setup stuff like the Clefairy, Comfey, stuff like that. You can taunt that. You can even taunt a Wide Guard user. Have to be careful for Mienshao with Umbreon, which makes Umbreon a little bit weaker of a pick than some of these. But again, you could taunt the Wide Guard and kind of go off with that, get your healing off. Say you're playing Pelipper and you have Umbreon, and I don't know. Let's say you have like Umbreon and maybe you have your own Calyrex Shadow Rider and you're wanting to do some Astral Barrage stuff, and maybe you're setting up like you can protect the partner. taunt the Pelipper, then force them into a play, and maybe you can make a read where they see the taunt sheet, so maybe they go for a protect here. Then you could set up your partner with like Nasty Plot or something. There's a lot of mind games that comes with this Pokemon just carrying taunt. So I think it's just valuable just to even have on sheet. But again, non-prankster taunt, very valuable move. You can stop Parting Shot off at Vincent. You can stop Trick Room. You can stop a ton of stuff. That's going to be it for the video. Let me know down in the comment section if you have some really cool anti-meta picks that you're using on your team. I've seen a couple sleeper picks that I'm going to make a video on, and I want to show you guys that. But I do want to see what you guys are running and what are your picks to counter the meta right now. Let me know down below. Keep practicing, and until next time, I'll see you on the next video.